What is up, everybody? This is the first episode of the Young Minds podcast, and let me tell you, it has been a long time coming to do this, and it's been kind of something that's been on my heart for a while. Ever since I've seen people and others' inspirations to me doing this podcast thing, I was like, let's give it a shot. Today, this episode will mainly focus on who I am and what we plan to do with this podcast, and how things will go there. So, to start off, my name is Charlie Banks. I am from a small town. It's not really that small, actually, Valdosta, Georgia. And I'm the creator and founder of a nonprofit called Operation Patriotism. I'll get into more of that later. But what I want to do with this podcast is bring young minds on, like friends of mine and others, like inspirations of mine that are a bit older, to give young minds some advice on, how to walk with Christ, or, if they don't have a relationship, what they can do, and just hear people's testimonies and stories. And I'll get into mine a little bit here in a moment, but that's kind of the goal, and I hope that you want to follow along. But what the goal, or what my testimony is to start off, it's not for the faint of heart, really. It is quite interesting. My birth kind of started out, it was pretty standard, but then I did have some health problems, and I had to be born 3 months early because my mom had, it was some weird, sickness or something. And if I wasn't born, then me and her would have both not have been here on this earth today. So I thank the Lord for that. And so what it caused me to have what is called CP, or cerebral palsy. And so many kids and many others out there, how it affects them is just so different from me. It affects my hands and my legs, but I can still walk and use my hands. It just affects them in, minute ways. However, others, they get affected in so many ways that I can't even imagine. I've seen people who, they are wheelchair bound, and, they can only have one use of their arm and they have a limp. And there's so many other ways it could affect them. It's crazy. But those people, like I mentioned, they don't let anything stop them. And it's absolutely amazing to see what they can accomplish. But, after the medical problems, my parents weren't sure if I was going to be able to walk. The doctors were, they weren't thinking in faith. They were just thinking about their job. So, or thinking, they were just doing their job. So, they were saying, we don't know if he's going to walk. We don't know what he's going to do. And then the doctors also said, if he doesn't, if I didn't do any better, then I'd have to get taken off the ventilator and I wouldn't be here. And my mom was like, that's not going to happen. She was like, no, that is totally not an option, and we're not doing it. So, thankfully, my mom fought, and both my parents fought, but my mom was really fighting for it. And they brought me home. I was 2 pounds and 13 ounces at birth, so I had to stay in the hospital for a while so they could get everything sorted out. But eventually, I was brought home, and everything just came later than normal, like walking and things like that. That was later on. But the Lord's always been with me, since the beginning, and I just now realized that a couple months ago. Truly, because I was saved in April of 2022 and baptized a week later at Northside Baptist, and it was absolutely one of the best times ever, and I couldn't imagine having anybody else except my amazing friends and family there. They were all there to watch, and I have this mental picture of just, I'm up in the stands or whatever you want to call it, because how the church is built, you have the choir, then you have where they baptize up above that, and then you have all the pews and all that right there and you can see everybody. And I remember looking at my friends, and I remember just looking at them, and they're just smiling down, and I smile back at them, and it was just such an amazing thing. Cause I can just see it right now as I'm talking about it, and it's just so cool, and I'll never forget it. And what that's led to is just, so many amazing things, like Sunday school groups and everything. The amazing kids that have come out of that, and friendships that have come out of that. Like my friend Drew, he's going on an Argentina trip, on a mission trip, this spring break, and it's crazy to see how the Lord's worked through me, through him, and all of my different people that I've come across with. But I just, and I also, with this podcast, I hope to reach more people, and even if this episode reaches one person, and they, it helps them in some way, I hope, that is my main hope, that it helps you, or who knows, it may even help me in some sort of way, I don't know. We'll see what the Lord does. I mean, I feel like he's called me to do this, because I've always said that he's given me the spiritual gift to help people, and that this is just another way I can reach people. And I talked about Operation Patriotism a little bit when I was on Cody's podcast. If you don't know who that is, it's his, I guess you could say, name on podcast, like the podcast world, is Of Sound Mind Feed. What a wonderful friend of mine, a big inspiration to why I'm doing this. And we talked a little bit about Operation and what we're going to do there. And what we want to do there, it's a nonprofit that I've started, and the website's not up yet, but we're working on things. Right now it's local, but what we want to do is help first responders and tell them, hey, there's not all bad people, like not everybody does not like you. Like there's people out here that love you and want to support you, in so many different ways. But we just want to do that and show our love to them, and who knows, maybe even spread the gospel in that way as well to them. But all the different experiences that I'm able to have, because of being saved. Like I watched this past summer, I witnessed somebody who, fought off one of the toughest variants of cancer. They lived and they're thriving. And I got to watch, my mom, she was rededicated the same day that I was, and that was, the same day that I was baptized, and I was actually saved on Easter. And what a wonderful blessing that was, just to have her rededicated along with me getting baptized. It was absolutely amazing. And I kind of look at it as like this whole podcast thing. I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but this whole podcast thing, I kind of look at it as like this epic mission that God's put me on to, show people, because a lot of people think that our youth nowadays, we're just like so rude and just, we're just disrespectful, and sure, there's some that are, and that's not, I'm not gonna like lie to you there, but a lot of us, we are fighters, of God, and we love Jesus, and and we just, and I also want to give them a platform to be able to share that if they would like to share their stories, and to come on and talk, and and just to show, hey, there is a lot of Christian youth out here. Some examples I can give is I'm a part of FCA at my school at Lowndes High. We just had a meeting today, or a huddle as they call it, and it was absolutely amazing. Like the bleachers we have, they get absolutely filled up, and just to to worship right before school starts, it is a wonderful thing. And to be a part of that leadership team as well is so fulfilling, and getting to help through there, and just to see how God's working through all of us. Another example is just in my church at Northside, we they do the Wednesday night stuff, and a lot of that, there's not a lot of adults that come just to the church service on Wednesday. It's mainly for the youth. There's a lot of youth in that in there, and it is absolutely amazing to see. That room gets filled, and the youth pastors, like Youth Pastor Landon and Mr. Brandon Divine, they are so amazing in how they interact with the kids and help them in any questions that we possibly may have. They are so good at what they do, and I love them for it so much. But when it comes to like my story for a while, like, because I didn't grow up in a I would say so. I'm not gonna say we weren't Christians, because I felt like we, my mom and my dad, I was told, like the basic things, don't curse, and all that. But we didn't go to church regularly, and I wasn't saved and all that. So I didn't have the Lord in my life, even though He was with me throughout that whole time of, being born and everything. It really took, going through all those things. I had, family loss. I lost friends. They didn't pass on, but they moved on to different paths. And and all these different things. And it just took, and one thing it took was I started asking questions. I had this friend who, it was Halloween night, so it's around a year ago now, that I talked to him. And he was so passionate about his faith, and it was amazing. It was absolutely crazy on how passionate he was and just what he could do. And so I started asking questions, and I started asking another person questions as well, and we're all three friends. So we went to FCA, and and then we had, and then I went to church with one of them on Good Friday, and I was like, that was around April 10th, and what was so cool is, because that was the first time I'd went to Northtown in years. It had been forever. And so we went. I went, and then I talked to another friend of mine. And then I just opened up and told him about all my thoughts, and they were so impure, and just all the anger and things I'd been harboring for years, because I didn't know where to go with that. They say you're gonna go to your parents, but you just don't want to, because you want them to, think you're happy. And everything's going good, even though they say that you can go, you still want them to think that everything's going all right, and we went with, I went to him, and he, we both opened up about things that were been going on. And so notice I said that was April 10th. It's crazy how fast the Lord worked through me, because that was April 10th, and then I get baptized only on the 17th, so that was Easter, and then a week later I get baptized on the 24th, because I got saved on the 17th and then baptized a week later. It is just so crazy how the Lord worked through me, and the experiences I've been able to take with me in this podcast even. I can't wait to see where it goes. It is going to be absolutely amazing just to see how the Lord works through me. And I know I keep kind of repeating myself, but I just think it's going to be absolutely crazy, And the people that we'll be able to have on, like some of my friends, and Cody, and another good friend of mine that I just started talking to more, is Donovan Jones. He's also an amazing person that does podcasts. I'll put both of their links down in the description and everything. And another thing I want to mention too is, if you're going through something or whatever it may be, you're not alone, and please talk to somebody, because I'm sure there's somebody out there that has either thought or is thinking the same things that you are, or has done the same things as you are. And sometimes what it takes is knowing that you're not alone, because that was me for years, until this happened with me being saved and talking to people. Like, trust me, you are not alone in whatever this may be. And it's not, there is people out there that can help you, and just ask the Lord for guidance and to reveal those people to you, and you'll be able to get there, I promise. Just to kind of wrap it up a little bit, I'll kind of say what the goals are for this podcast again. So kind of what we're going to do in the coming weeks, I hope weeks, maybe, who knows how long it'll take. I'm a high schooler, so it depends on, as when I get time, I'll record these episodes and edit them and things. But we're going to have my friends on. We'll have some adults on for to give advice, and I just can't wait to see what the Lord does for this epic mission that He's put me on. Whether this is a limited series for podcast, whether it goes on for 50 episodes, that's one thing, but I can't wait to see what He does. and I can't wait to see what impact this podcast makes. Thanks for listening.